Welcome back to LA Show. Thank you guys so much for tuning back in with me. Today we have our homie Cisco in the building. Welcome back, Cisco.
Hey, what's up? What's up?
Nothing much, just looking around. I see a lot of stuff going on with the CV. Um, a lot of things have changed. A lot of things are moving extremely fast. And we're just going to talk about some of the key things that have stuck out to us since our last video update. Thank you guys so much for, staying up to date with the CV with us. If you haven't already, go back and catch up on some of our earlier videos. We've been covering this since late January. As soon as I got the news, I brought it up to Cisco, and he was like, "Yeah, I've been keeping my eye on it," and we've just been head first ever since. Um, First of all, I want to start this one off with a rest in peace to Fred the Godson. I know a lot of people have seen him on social media and his journey with his battle with the CV, and he has passed away at age 35. So rest in peace to him. Um, let's go into some things that are affecting the world as well. So I see that there is a spike again with the numbers in unemployment. And I know a lot of people are unemployed right now. My heart goes out to everybody. I've been there before. A lot of people can relate to this. So I understand. That's just something that is really, 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 really hard to speak on because this is affecting families. Um, Also, the children being out of school. It's a big dynamic that we are now being introduced into. This is a new way of this world. Um, anything on that, Cisco?
I'm sorry, I had gotten a message, and you have to run that by right back to me.
Yeah, about the unemployment rates and things going
Right,
on with families.
right. To be honest, I think because our country is such a large country, 330, 340 million people, I think that the number of unemployment is extremely higher than what they're saying. And I just telling people to buckle down, um, try to get communal with people that you can trust, and be aware of the scams that are out there. There's a lot of different money scams out there because people are desperate, people are stealing, people are breaking into houses, breaking into cars.
Mm-hmm.
So when times get tight, people get desperate, and for those of you who haven't done your paperwork or gotten your stimulus check, make sure you don't be like these idiots that you see on social media, flashing cash and buying nonsense. Just like we said in a previous video, stack up on your non-perishables like rice and beans, uh, especially like navy beans and black beans. Those are very packed with nutrients and stuff like that. That's what I could say about the unemployment.
Okay, that's some good tips for everybody. I appreciate those because, people are just more worldly than I am, and I like to learn from different people. So if you have any other tips for people, please feel free to drop them down in the comments because we are, you know, a channel for learning, trying to grow. Um, so another point that I wanted to make about this, which, it has to do with economy and, things of that nature. And that is, who Bill Gates really is. Um, and from my research and what I've looked into on this man, it seems as though he is, very wealthy with his whole technology side. He made a killing off of that. However, when he switched over to his so-called philanthropy and the other side of his life, mainly eugenics, it seems like he's trying to dominate that field and he's doing a pretty good job at it. But as far as this goes and why I'm bringing him up with, the economy side is because we have to follow the money as well in this situation. A lot of money has just been dropped into the US and, trying to follow everything back to a common denominator. And for me, in my research, it mostly leads back to Bill Gates. Um, but other research can take you other places. Um, Bill Gates, Cisco, anything on him?
Well, the he has a very colorful background, and he is the subject of a lot of scrutiny these days, especially on social media. And in my personal opinion, justifiably so, because if you just do a little background history on Bill Gates, you'll see that wherever he has put his money in health issues, um, you'll see that there's all kinds of lawsuits, and people, children and people have died, and he's connected. He's put his money in a lot of areas. One of them is with an organization to design a bio tattoo that would be able to, you would get vaccinated and it would be a bio tattoo. And along with that, he is developing, or they are developing, a phone app that would be able to tell whether a person is vaccinated or not. Um, so, also you have Bill Gates connected to the Jeffrey Epstein situation, which is not necessarily what we're talking about today. So this individual is a dangerous individual. It's a person that wants to vaccinate the whole world, although he doesn't even vaccinate his own children. And he everything that Bill Gates is trying to do is basically trying to lock us down, lock the whole world down, vaccinate the whole world. And I think that we need to really pay attention to Bill Gates and his moves. Just really quickly, um, about a little bit over a week ago, um, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., which this person, you can follow this person on Instagram. He exposed Bill Gates' vaccine agenda with a really good report. So I would encourage you guys to look him
Mhm.
up. Also, Bill Gates' money is connected to ID 2020, which is a national or global ID system, which would basically be able to track everybody and all of their movements. So it's a lot of things to talk about when it comes to Bill Gates. He could actually literally have his own show. Um, and you just think about how he made his money creating the technology that a lot of us use. It's like you create a virus, but then you create the antivirus program for computers, and it's the same model that he's involved in. Just like you said, LA, follow the money. His money is involved on both sides of the issue of this virus, because as we will later get to, you'll see that these viruses all have patents.
Yep. Yep. Now, as we were just now saying, follow the money economy wise, the WHO, Trump announced that he was going to do an investigation on some money that has been sent their way, and what they've been doing with the money that they've been given in the Obama administration and under his administration, I do believe, or he might have stopped that money. He stopped that money that they were going to get from him. But anyway, the WHO is now being under investigation pertaining to what they're doing with this money, or with
Right,
money they've had. And I
right,
think very, very interesting, you guys. That's something that we really do need to pay attention to. Um, because it's still a lot of discrepancies out there about where this virus actually originated from. It's still a lot of discrepancy. So, but we already have discussed that in detail. Um, so there's no discrepancies over here. I'm not stupid. But some people, believe what they hear. Um, Talking more about economy and money, let's see. Let's talk a little bit about Dr. Fauci, just a tad, Cisco. Um,
well, there's
Doc,
a relationship between the two, Bill
yep,
Gates and Dr. Fauci.
yep,
And that's why when I said the follow the money, you'll see that his money is on both ends of this. In the uh create well, I won't go as far as say creation, but in the money into the research of viruses, and also in the money into the vaccination part of the viruses. And him and Dr. Fauci are connected, along with the head of the CDC and the World Health Organization officials.
correct, correct. I'm glad I brought that up. Um, both of these guys have come under heavy criticism from the public recently on how things are being handled. A lot of people seem to feel as though Fauci um, may have misguided in ways Trump and his decisions with the country. Um, uh, a lot. Were you going to say,
And
Cisco?
well, he called that out. And if you notice, most in the most recent days, have you seen Dr. Fauci out there with President Trump? You haven't.
No, he's been sitting on the sidelines. Yeah, I've noticed that myself. I've noticed that
Yeah.
too. Yep,
In
yep.
fact, the last speech, he wasn't nowhere in on the last one that I watched live. It was, I think, yesterday. Dr. Fauci wasn't even on the panel. He wasn't out there with Dr. Trump. I mean, with President Trump. At least the one I saw.
I'm looking at this article from medium.com, and just a little backstory on Fauci. He was uh, back in 84 working with the AIDS crisis, West Nile
Exactly.
virus, anthrax, Ebola, Zika. And early in the AIDS crisis, he was a target of activists for his lack of momentum. Um, so that was an article a little bit more about Fauci and who he is, um, and what he's worked on. His dichotomy of work seems like he should be able to handle a situation like this, but with the different type of messages and mixed signals, I've been seeing for myself, it's really, really interesting. Um, More about economy, because it's a lot to do with economy. I mean, economy is a big thing right now. We see a lot of different militia groups um, out on the grounds, basically protesting for their rights. Um, a lot of different states were are about to open. They're about to reopen certain things. Florida's already opened certain beaches. Georgia's about to go ahead and slowly open up salons and beauty parlors and hair barbershops and nail salons and um, a couple other places. Can't think of them off top, but that's very interesting. Um, yes, we do need to get the economy back in a certain place, but as workers, is that your job to do that? Is that your job to get out here and risk your lives to do that? But in the event that, this is something that is being exasperated, then what are we to do? You know, then what? What do you think about this, Cisco? What do you think about opening these states back up?
Um. Well, before I say that, I wanted to say that
Hmm.
um the state in particular about the militias was
Michigan?
Michigan, and Michigan, the Michigan militia is the largest militia in America,
Well, we got
and they were, huh?
Virginia. Virginia popped out. A
Well,
whole bunch of
yeah,
different ones.
I know more did, but specifically, I know a lot of people when I say the largest militia, they don't know the magnitude of that. The Michigan militia is huge, and yes, other places popped out, absolutely, but theirs was specifically important because they want that governor out of there. You
Oh.
know, yes, and that's key because the typically militias are conservative, and they have a Democratic governor, and which are typically liberal. And so that was a key, very out of all of those militias coming out, I think that was one of the key ones, and also Virginia being a key one, also because they are another traditionally, well, in recent times, more of a conservative state, but uh, uh, they're all Democratic. All the state of Virginia, most of them all, and even some of them were originally Republicans and switched to Democrats. So you seeing that these militia groups are coming out, and the Democrats, and just so I'm just gonna make a disclaimer, I'm not Democratic or Republican, but the
Not
Democrats have been trying to take the gun rights away. And so this is one thing that the militias fear, uh, that if they get a total lockdown with the National Guard, uh, or something like even more scarier, something like UN or NATO, or NATO troops in the United States, that would cause civil unrest. And these, in their belief, those would be the type of governors that would allow to do that. And moving forward, this is why certain states are trying to separate themselves from the federal government.
hmm Well, I saw where Trump tells, certain places to go ahead and liberate. He told Michigan, Minnesota, Virginia, he told their governors, he told the people to liberate, and told the governors to call their own shots. So, you know,
Right.
it all makes sense.
And yeah, and so like a lot of these places are gonna start. You're gonna open up the lockdown. That's the second part of the question. So my opinion is, I I'm a free thinker. So I try to do my own research in order to make my own decisions. Uh, so if I were in one of those places and they opened it up, um, I think I would go. I think I would go with it being opened, but I would just be careful. I wouldn't. I would move accordingly, knowing that there is something out there that are affecting people. I wouldn't just be um, going back to where it was. I think what I've said before and what I'm saying now is that this is a crucial point in history that we will life will be new when even once this stuff is over. It's going to be a new ball game, you know. Um i think personally Trump is going to win, so we'll have another 4 years of Trump, and we'll also have another 4 years of them trying to get rid of Trump by any means necessary. So with that said, I think that I'm not an anti not going out type of person if the president or the respective governors say, okay, you can go out now. I think I would go out, but I would move accordingly. I would take my necessary precautions. Like I said, I think it's going to be a new day when this is all said and done. Just like the last, crucial moment in history, in American history, which was 9/11. Everything changed after 9/11. And I think this is another situation where everything is going to change. So,
Well, I'm gonna be one of those people until September, watching everybody walking around. But it's just different strokes for different folks. Um,
but but the thing about it is, we still got to go out anyway.
we
So,
still got to go out
I'm a
anyway.
homebody anyway. I limit my travel anyway when it wasn't no lockdown. I have very limited travel anyway. I'm not a person that's always out in the streets. I'm not a person that goes clubbing. You know what I mean? I'm a person that have very I don't move around like that.
Mhm.
So for me, it wouldn't be that much of a big. The lockdown is not that big of a deal, and if they let it out, it's not like, even like, let me give you a scenario. If I take my kids to a park, let's say, do I let my kids play with kids that I don't know? No, I don't. I don't let my kids, and I'm weird like that, but I don't know where they've been, and this is all before this pandemic.
Mhm.
I don't let my kids meet new friends at the park, and y'all get to holding hands or playing, or being touchy feely. I don't, even though I grew up like that. It's a new day though. I don't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
You know.
we have
So,
evolved.
yeah. So I don't do those kind of things. So for me, I don't I think it's dangerous. I'm not I think it's the irony of, I will say, about Atlanta, Georgia, because of all the things that's going on in Atlanta, Georgia. Number one being HIV. Number two, it is a very social place, meaning clubs, nightclubs, strip clubs,
Mm.
parties. Uh, so if people go back to doing that, I think it's not gonna be. I don't think that's smart. But I'm looking at it from an individual. People got to stop being sheep. Just because they open it up, you still got
Doesn't
to be a you got to still be a responsible person.
Yeah,
You got to
that's
be a responsible individual.
yeah.
You if you want to be a sheep and follow people off the cliff, okay, then do that.
They're
But for
gonna
me, I'm not that guy. I never have been. I'm
yeah.
not saying I went to no clubs or nothing like that, but I'm just in another stage in my life where those things aren't important to me. You know, being in all those social gatherings where you know how it is. That's where all the shit happens. That's where somebody gets mad at another person. They get to shooting and get to fighting and all that. I choose to have my good times in other ways. At this point in my life.
That's for a lot of different people. Like, like you just said, choosing what's personally good for you in your situation. If you know you have somebody back at the house or somebody that you have regular contact with that is compromised, there's no need for you to be running around here, you know, possibly contracting whatever's out there. Um, that
Exactly.
that is true. Um, let's go ahead on to the medical side of things. We talked about the economy. Um, we just lost a rapper to this virus, and like you said in the last video, people aren't going to start waking up until we see public figures falling. Um, medically, there are a lot of different things coming out about this novel virus. Um, and there are a lot of different things discussing the effects on the body um, afterwards. Um, Cisco, did you want to touch on any of that? Because it's still up in the air.
I'm gonna say you gotta do your own research, and
Okay.
there is there is a clear campaign in the media to debunk what some doctors are saying that are on the front lines, and nurses are saying on the front lines, and they're to debunk this. They're even using fake doctors and actors and actresses to really try to debunk what these doctors are saying. I don't want to go too far into it because we can go for a long time, but just to be brief, you know, um, some doctors are saying that the way that this COVID-19 is attacking the body is not like a traditional coronavirus. And if you do your research, you will see that the coronaviruses are many. You know, I saw some research where I saw a spreadsheet, and you have coronavirus A13, and then you have coronavirus B72, and there's just a whole bunch, it's a myriad of coronaviruses. There's a doctor in New York who was saying that the way that these viruses are attacking is not like a traditional coronavirus. We pretty much know why that is, because this is kind of a concoction of specific coronaviruses, particularly SARS, MERS, uh, and mixed in with a little HIV and this uh, protein, this specific protein that matches up with human protein, and that's why we're getting all kind of different reactions, um, all kind of different symptoms. Contrary to what they were telling us, that it was mainly just elderly people, you having young people as young as at the toddler age dying
Yeah,
from it, in the teenagers. You also have people in their 90s recovering from it.
correct.
So you have people with severe liver, and lung damage. I'm talking about severe, to where the doctors that are seeing this is like, this doesn't happen with viruses. So uh, there's many reasons why that could be the case, and some of the doctors have mentioned that. I personally am not going to talk about those reasons now, for you know, just to preserve LA's channel, because some of the people that have talked about that have been taken off of YouTube, or their videos get taken down. So that's a little more controversial. But um, one thing that has come out along those lines is an article you can find on the 17th on Zero Hedge, and the title, I'll just read the title, I won't read the article. COVID-19 is a man-made virus. HIV discoverer says could only have been created in a lab. That's the name of the article. COVID-19 is a man-made virus. HIV discoverer says could only have been created in a lab. That's the article you need to go read, because it quotes a lot of good things, and it has a lot of things for you to go and uh, research. The professor, Luke uh, Montagnier, he's a 2008 Nobel Prize winner for medicine, claims that SARS-CoV-2 is a manipulated virus that was accidentally released from the laboratory in Wuhan, China. So, these are people that have reputations, that have things, they can lose a lot by making false claims. So that's something that you guys need to look into and take in consideration.
Okay. Well, more medically, we just had a discussion before we got on the phone, and I brought up the mask for all situation, which would lead to the the fact of, what are we wearing masks for? Are we wearing masks to protect other people if we so happen to cough or sneeze, or is this to protect ourselves from something that may or may not be airborne? And
Right.
you put up the definition of airborne, if you would like to give that to the people.
Sure. Um, Airborne disease is any disease that is caused by pathogens that can be transmitted through air over time and distance by small particles. Such diseases include many of considerable importance both in human and veterinary medicine. The relevant pathogens may be viruses, bacteria, or fungi, and they may be spread through breathing, talking, coughing, sneezing, raising of dust, spraying of liquids, toilet flushing, or any activities which generate aerosol particles or droplets. Human airborne diseases do not include conditions caused by air pollution, such as volatile organic compounds, gases, or and any airborne particles. So the whole 6 foot rule is destroyed in that definition if they're saying that this COVID this COVID-19 is airborne.
Correct. Well,
Six, even a cough, just because they were talking about coughing and sneeze, just for relevant to make this relevant, a cough or a sneeze travels more than 6 feet. In fact, a sneeze can travel up to 25 feet.
yeah.
So the information that we're being given is not all the way on point, and it's meant to kind of confuse you. So again, you guys have to do your own research and think. Always think.
Mm,
Understand what you're seeing, and pay attention to what you're hearing, because a lot of times you will see a story and the answer or the BS is right in front of your face.
Yeah.
You
As
know,
that goes, that could be said because a lot of things have came out medically with this situation, as far as Black Americans are claiming the highest death rate with this situation. Um, Another fact that you already brought up was the fact that, older people are catching this and recovering. Um, Younger people are dying. So it's just a big melee of information, and you have to stay on track and find your own pattern. And then hopefully at the end of this, we'll have a conclusion. Um,
right? And with that, well, go ahead, go ahead.
no, no, no. I was done.
Well, with that, because we're on medical, there's a correlation between the because of medical. I have a bunch of articles. So just to be brief, there's a correlation between the people that get flu shots and them testing positive, and also people who have died from COVID and them having the flu shot in their medical file.
Hmm.
Uh, Additionally, you have the people who are getting oxygen versus the people who are getting ventilators. What's happening is, and you can do your research, there's a lot of articles about that. The
Yeah.
ventilators are starving the cell from oxygen. So, though the ventilator is breathing for the person, what's happening is they aren't getting oxygen in their blood, which will cause all kind of different problems. But one of them is heart problems, because the heart will have to overwork. The lungs are being starved because they're not getting oxygenated blood, so the person like goes into shock, and some of them uh, die of a heart attack. Some of them are getting strokes, all kind of different health problems related behind these ventilators. Another thing is I have I have an article. One is um in the UK, they have put a halt on some of the testing because the testing kits were contaminated with the virus. And you have the same thing in where
CDC
was that?
test. CDC.
Uh, Let me find where what oh, in Washington, in the state of Washington, they have
Oh,
over 10,000 testing kits that were contaminated. So you could be potentially a healthy person, you go and get tested and you get the virus from the test.
and all of these came from the CDC. Well, not all of them, but some of the CDC tests that they have sent out have been contaminated.
Well,
So,
the articles that I have, I don't know if it mentions the specific CDC, but they're the COVID tests. And while we're on testing, and because what comes after testing is what? Vaccination. There is the same guy who's a vaccine injury lawyer that I mentioned before, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. There's a lawsuit, is an article, government U.S. government loses landmark vaccine lawsuit. Forced vaccinations now can be legally stopped. No quality control for 32 years. And I'm gonna read you this case number. It's case 1:18-CV-03215, JMF document 18 filed 0709/2018. And I'm not going to read the whole article, but it just basically says that one of the reasons why they lost the lawsuit is because A recent U.S. court case revealed that there has been no quality control over vaccine manufactured by Big Pharma for at least 32 years.
Mhm.
And it's just going absolutely crazy. So I wanted to point that out because that's the next step of um, um, after the testing and all of this. What they're gonna try to do is vaccinate people.
Okay,
Um,
well, let's go
and
ahead and
like
let's go
like
ahead
these te-
and oh my bad.
and these tests, for example, in the UK, they don't mention that they were necessarily from the CDC. They were probably CDC approved though, and the same thing with the Washington test. And I said 10,000. It's actually 12,000,
Well, I
and
just saw an article that said the CDC were they actually had tainted tests. So
right, right. So
some
that means it's even gonna spread more
but
based on
some
those.
states exactly, exactly. But some states are making their own, like they have their colleges making their own test up. So that's another thing we have to look into, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
and oh, while I missed this point because we were talking about media and what they're telling us. You have something straight from the CDC. There's two articles. Maybe if it's possible, I can send all these links to LA and she can have them in the description. But there's two PDFs straight from the CDC and why the death numbers are padded. They have these are instructional manuals given to the hospitals. And if you read them, you will see why the numbers are padded. They're being instructed to pad the numbers. And I have the receipts right here. There's two PDF documents you can get off of the CDC website.
Okay, okay. That's cool. I'll yeah, we can definitely put those in the description box because everything we're saying can be backed up with, just people doing their research and stuff and keeping an open mind. Now, I wanted to get into because you were talking about the vaccinations and mandates and stuff. So that kind of made me want to go into the new step of this, which is governmental. Um, that's right, right? That's a good section for that. Yeah. Um, so right now we're seeing a lot of different things with governments, and this is spanning all across the world. Um, I read an article that kind of stuck my antennas up on thehill.com. Connecticut City testing drone that detects fevers and coughs. Y'all can read that article. But Connecticut is starting to use drones as well for social distancing. And they're flying those things up and they are watching people. And if you're too close to people, I don't know how they're going to alert you, but they're going to, I guess, send out an alert. I don't really know what's to come of this. Or this could be another thing that they're using to do for contact tracing, because that's another question that kind of raised my eyes on the medical side. How are they contact tracing people? This stuff is spreading allegedly so fast that how are you able to really investigate where this person got this from? Or is that even a question at this point? You know what I'm saying? Because it's spreading so fast. Is it even a question on, who's the last people you've been around? You know, is all that stuff coming into play? What's going on? Um, do you have anything to say about that, Cisco? The drones?
No, well, yeah, well, that's an issue that's gonna come in if it's not stopped politically, I believe Connecticut is like a test site for the drones, because you could clearly see um, that there's other places that would probably need it more. I don't think it's needed at all, but I'm just saying from their point of view, it will be needed more. And Connecticut is probably not a place that really needs it like that. Not
Well,
more than New York, not more than New York from their eyes. But
that
what
could be a spot. That could just be a spot to say, hey, we're just trying
yeah,
this out.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a test site, but what that could lead to is um it could tie into ID 2020,
Mm-hmm.
uh and it could also tie into which would tie into facial recognition, meaning like from the drone you could see not whether this person is being social, using social distancing. You would see who this person is. You could also see whether this person's status, whether they've been vaccinated or not, because I've
Correct.
already said that Google and I iPhone is working on an app to be able to through that. I think MIT is one of them, is working on that bio tattoo where you just turn on the app and just wave the phone over the person, and they will say whether or not they're they're uh, positive or negative with the COVID-19.
Correct.
So this drone thing is kind of weird,
It is. It is. Well, I meant to title this subject political. My bad. I said governmental. But politically, this is lasting effects on our future is another point I put down, which this seems like it could be um one of those 9/11 scheduled events, that just leaves a lasting taste in our mouths. Um, Another thing politically, Cisco, is we can go back to the states reopening, how those drones could or could not affect states being reopened as well, right? Because if they're tracking all of that, then that means that, they can say, hey, y'all need to stay in quarantine for such and such amount of time extended, it all kind of circles back around to me. The
yeah.
last, well, not the last thing, because we already brought up ID 2020. Thank you. Bill Gates, we brought him up. Um,
Just let me know before you get out of political, because I still have a couple
oh,
things
no, no,
on that.
no. I'm not even out. I think this is the last point I'm making anyway. We talked about economics, medical, political. So we're almost out of the park. I just wanted to bring up WHO emails that got leaked.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
what's going on, Cisco? What's up with that? Because that doesn't sound good
For them,
for
it's
them.
good for it's good for us, because I can tell you before I share with you about them. Well, let's just say this, okay?
Hmm.
Let me prove to you why it could be good for us. So, breaking news: the Gates Foundation, that's Bill Gates, the World Health Organization, and the Wuhan Institute of Virology have all been hacked, and thousands of emails, passwords, and documents have been leaked online. And that's magamedia.org. And on Twitter, you got that posted on the Populist Society. And you have even they have showing a screenshot of one of the emails. So that's not fake news, that's real deal. But why is that good for us? Unless you want this total globalist lockdown society. I have an article from the 17th from Zero Hedge. The title of it is WHO, meaning the World Health Organization, wants to separate families in a safe and dignified manner. I'm not going to read the article. You actually can go to YouTube. It is a video live from the WHO headquarters, coronavirus COVID-19 daily update. And at the 55-minute mark, you will see, oh, no, excuse me, at the 50-minute mark, you'll see the head of the WHO talk about separating families, literally going into homes and separating families for social distancing and for testing purposes. So they could come in the home, test you. Uh, Somebody's positive, they need to be removed from the home uh, in a safe and dignified manner, as they put it.
Well, that's a little extreme, don't you think?
Well, yeah, but that's what they want. That's what they want. And also, uh, on the political side, from the 13th on the Daily Wire, you have a title, Trump, the president, not governors, has authority to reopen economies. Okay. Um, that's just an article you can read. It's just talking about that. Basically, Trump has the ultimate authority on that. And another one is U.S. This is from the 17th. U.S. launches full-scale investigation into the Wuhan lab.
Hmm.
Yes, uh, full-scale investigation into the Wuhan lab. So that's something you guys should look into.
Definitely, definitely. Well, I know I didn't want to make this too drawn out, but we had a lot of information to share that we've just been looking at, keeping our eye on. Didn't mean to sound rushed or anything.
L-
Um,
Before you get off, let me say a couple more things, if you don't mind.
no
Just
problem.
they're just titles, so I pretty much got everything covered. But these last three articles are very, 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 very important. Um, One is Facebook fact checker. You guys know that on Facebook and Instagram are tied together now. So now they got, because LA just sent me something and it was labeled before I looked at it. It was labeled as, what was it, false information? Is that what they labeled it as?
Yeah.
Because they have these fact checkers now. So check this out. Facebook fact checker worked at the Wuhan biolab
Mm.
and ruled out virus leak while debunking articles. So this person actually worked at the lab and then they got hired as a fact checker on Facebook.
Ain't that
That's
something?
isn't it something? That's on Zero Hedge. Just look up the title. Facebook fact checker worked at the Wuhan biolab. That's what I wanted. That's one article. Um, Another article, Facebook to warn users who liked coronavirus hoaxes. Facebook warn users who liked coronavirus hoaxes. And I'm gonna what that is basically saying is, if you comment, liked, or reacted to any post that is deemed by Facebook as harmful misinformation, they're going to start warning you. Okay. And in another article, they're going to actually be redirecting you, or on certain posts, like when you, after you like or comment, you'll be redirected to the CDC website or to another website. Um, Another article, last one, Facebook bans civil disobedience and removes posts any people organizing any anti-lockdown posts. Now, if you've been following the social credit score of what's happening in China, this is straight out of the Chinese Communist Handbook. So, guys, be careful on what you like and what you comment on, because now the first step is they're going to warn you, just like what LA sent me. It had a label on it that this is, false information. On Facebook is considered harmful disinformation. The next step is that it is going to reflect on if they win in their in this political game that they're trying to play, of this new globalist agenda. Okay, because if they win, what they're going to do is pull out of the Chinese Communist Handbook, and that is give everybody a social credit score. And in China, if based on your social credit score, it affects your jobs that you can get. It affects where you can live, where you can rent or buy homes. It affects whether you can get on the airplane or not. And it's happening to people. One pretty famous YouTuber, he has over 1 million subscribers. He's been knocked off of every single platform except for YouTube. Every single one. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. He's knocked off of all of them. So I just wanted to share that because I know people. We live in the social media era, and people are always on social media. Just be careful of what you like and what you comment on, because it might have some kind of adverse effect on you.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense because I've noticed that change on, people's posts. And then we have the CEO of YouTube telling people pretty much, yeah, we're taking down videos. So,
Yeah, and now you can't. And now we was just talking about that before we went live. You can't tell if you are on live or are you looking at the comments. You can't go to a person's page. You don't even know if that's a human or a bot anymore.
mhm,
And some
mhm.
of the bots are more sophisticated than others. So just be aware. It's getting weird out there.
Yeah, it's been getting weird. Um, like this video, comment your thoughts, let us know what you're thinking, tell us what's going on in your area. Um, because we're trying to stay up to date with this information. It's a lot of stuff being thrown at us. Me and Cisco are going to be working on several different things. um, Feel free to send us information at any time. We'll look over it, and keep on doing what you're doing, because if you were able to look at this video, that means you're okay, and that's what we like. So we'll see you on the next video. Thank you, guys.